So now it's on. So we're L'chaim, it's Yutas Kislev, and we're doing a special Yutas Kislev version. We're gonna learn for half an hour, I guess, or thereabout, and then we're gonna do L'chaim, and then we're gonna do some Fabregan. L'chaim. So we are studying the book of Shmuel, chapter 17, verse 55. Oh, Chazan is here. Yeah.
Can't start with that.
And maybe while the Chazan is making his way here, I'll replenish a little bit. This is good, guys. Wherever he's there, awesome. All right. All right, so we are right after the battle between David and Goliath, the epic battle of all times, and David ended up with Goliath's head, and it was amazing. He was lugging it all around to show the people, to make the Philistines fearful, and he stunned everybody, including all of us, including King Saul, stunned us by with a slingshot taking down such a mountain, such a big animal. So Shaul, we joining Shaul. Greeting David, or seeing David sort of walking back from the battlefield with the Goliath head, intact. So when he saw him going towards the Plishti, towards Goliath, Amar el Avner sar tzava, mi ze anar Avner? He told the Avner, who was his head of the joint chief, the head of the army, his uncle or his cousin, depending on who we trust. So he was family, and he trusted him, and he was. So he asked Avner, "Who is this man?" Now, this is one of the most strangest questions, because he hired him a chapter ago to be his musician, to be the palace band leader, because he was battling depression, and music is helping. Music therapy always helped, and he's ended up. He ended up hiring David as his the person who can play for him. And so what is he asking now? Mizanar, and he is asking it apparently very forcefully and sort of upset. And Avner, who knew who he was dealing with, he knew Shaul since they were kids, because he's family, and he saw that Shaul is something is going on with him. He's not the same as he was, because this is right after God lifted his spirit from Shaul and sort of bestowed it on David. So he was battling depression, and Shlom, maybe you can disconnect that buzzer over there. No, just on the bottom there. Just take it out. There is a plug near under. Yeah, just take it out. Hi. Baruch Hashem, how are you? Welcome. So Avner was scared as he was being asked what's going on, and so he says, "Hey, I swear to you, King, I don't know." And Avner knew him, but he says, "I don't know," which is very. So the king told him right away. So he sent Avner, "You go ask who this man is." Now, what does he mean, who this man is? We know him. He knows him. So on a very superficial level, we can explain, we can understand it is if you know someone really well. and suddenly they perform something out of character. You know, they walk. Imagine Perlman walking to his concert. You know, he's a violinist, right? He's walking to his concert holding the head of Hassan Nasrallah. You know, it's as weird as that. You know, that will be. You know, so you would. You know, people would ask, who are you? You know? So, I didn't know that this was in you. I mean, who in the world are you? So, that is one explanation. Then, the more reasonable explanation is, he promised the man who's going to take down Goliath his daughter. No. Now, so it's one thing to hire someone to play violin for you. It's another thing to give your daughter to that man. So, who are you? You know, I mean, he was trying to figure out where is he coming from. Now, the word Elam is used in modern Hebrew as well to describe someone young, you know, a teenager, a boy, yeah. But Elam means also is hidden. Like, let me unearth what's hidden here. Ne'elam, exactly. Olam, it's all coming from the word hidden. Let me see who am I, you know, what can I uncover here? Now, what did he need to uncover? So one of his advisors, one of Saul's advisors was a gentleman by the name of Doega Edomi. He was an Edomite, and he was a very smart man, and he was very vicious. He did not like David from the start. And he cooked troubles from the get-go. And he knew the ancestry of David. He was one of those guys that, you know, you ask him whatever he knows, all the families of everybody, you know, these kind of guys. And he knew that he came from Ruth, who was a Moabite. And he says, you asking who is, you know, if you worried about this guy, you know, rising to the top and taking over and becoming a king and stuff, you know, you first have to worry if he can even be part of the Jewish people. Because he's from a Moabite woman, you know. He is not, so he was, at that time, the age-old question, are Moabite women allowed to convert versus men? Men are not, women are. So he was using the fog of war and the fog of knowledge to throw doubts at the situation, and that's what the king was asking. You know, who are you? Are you really allowed to? You know, I promised my daughter, but you know there is limit, and we will see how he's actually going to give David the runaround. He will drive him crazy until he fulfills his promise to give him his daughter. We'll see. So as he was figuring out who this man is, וכשוב דוד מהכות הפלישתי, as David walking back, ויקח אותו אבנר ויביאו לפני שאול וראש הפלישתי בידו. So he brought him back from as he was walking back from the battle with the head of Goliath in hand. Voila, you know, that's what I got. That's the take for the day. And very, very strange situation, scene, think about it. Because David was a little guy. Was a short, scrawny guy, redhead, holding the... ויאמר אליו שאול, בן מי אתה ענה? So, not being able, the battle didn't take all that long. He really quickly got rid of this animal. So he was not able to really figure out the answer, and they were... So he said, who are you? So David answered, ויאמר דוד בן עבדך ישי בית הלחמי. So he said, I am actually your... he first realized what the question is about. That, like, questioning his ancestry, questioning his motives, questioning everything. So he said, first and foremost, I am your servant. Relax. I'm not a threat, I'm your servant. And then he answered him that I'm from Bet Lachmi, I'm from the city of Bethlehem, and I'm also Lochem is in Hebrew a fighter. right? A soldier is a lochem. When you have in Tzahal, you have people who are on the level of lochamim, which are those who are going to the front line holding weapons, and you have the people who are sitting behind. They're not lochamim. So a lochem, bet alachmi, means I am the son of a warrior. So that's how I got it, So that brings us to the end of chapter 17. Chapter 18 starts where, so the glory of David at the time of Shaul was very short-lived. Very, very short-lived. Very quickly, after he won the war against Goliath, the tide turned, and he became the person who is most sought after, hated, chased after. It was terrible. And in the first verses of chapter 18, we will see how this unfolds and how it becomes, from becoming a hero, a war hero, someone who needs to run away. And it starts right away with the son of Shaul, Yonatan, falling in love with David. So as soon as he finished talking to Shaul, David talked to Shaul and told him, who he is, and how come he ended up succeeding that way. ונפש יונתן נקשרה בנפש דוד ויעבר יונתן כנפשו. So the soul of Yonatan was yearning and being attracted to the soul of David, and they became very good friends. Now, they are in love. You have several kinds. Some people, you love something because it's tasty, you like a steak. I love you love some dish, you like because it's good, you like it. And then there is you like you love kale because it's not tasty, but it's good for you. So it's another level. And then there is you love something because it's just that's the right thing to do. It's not for me. I don't draw any. This is what we're being asked to love God. We're being asked to do that. Not to love it because it's good for us, because He gives us, but to love it because it's He deserves to be loved. So the Malbim is explaining that this is exactly what happened here with David and Yehonatan, that he was basically became very connected to him. He saw the advantage of David. He saw that David is destined to become someone. I don't know how, but he sensed that he is going to be replacing his father at one point. He felt that he is not at the same level, and I don't know if Shaul told him or didn't tell him, probably didn't, but he was a very pious and smart man, and he right away realized what's going on here. And he saw, so he became David's best friend, and that is one of the things that really ticked off Shaul. Because when Shaul has a son that's supposed to succeed him, and suddenly this son is loyal to someone else, that is a big problem. And that's one of the things that really upset Shaul, and we'll see eventually he will tell him, Ben Ahavat Mardut, you're not a good son. Anyway, but at this point, right after the war, right after the battle, Shaul vayikacher Shaul bayom ההוא ולא נתנו לשוב בית אביו. So before, when he hired David to be his violinist, he would not be there all the time. He would come and go, he would come for a few days and then go back to home. He had a concert a week, whatever, 2 concerts, whatever it was. And he wasn't there all the time. But now, when he is the hero, when he is going to be the husband of my daughter, he better he doesn't go back home. So he brought him into the palace, and he wanted to make sure that he's under his supervision all the time. ויחוד יונתן ודוד ברית באהבתו אותו כנפשו. So Yonatan and David strike a deal, strike a brit, a truce. Now, when you strike a brit, brit usually when you have an agreement, in most cases is between enemies that didn't like each other, and they want to ensure that they're not gonna have a fight anymore. So they sign a truce. They sign a deal, a brit. And then you have brit of people that say, you know what, we are peaceful nations, and let's sign a brit of friends. And then you have real friends where it's like a defense treaty. I'm going to send my soldiers to die for your nation. That's a whole different, and this is the type of truce that they sign here. Like, we are one, we are behind each other, I'm yours. Imagine, the heir to the throne is now basically signing their loyalty to some kid who ended up, who just is a violinist, was an outcast, spent his day as a shepherd, and happens to take off the general of the opponent's side, but he made quite an impression. Obviously, he was. We will see the impression. He became the star. He became the star. David became the star of the nation instantly, without social media, without TV. He became the star of the nation. Now, what's happening now is even more. יונתן, ויתפשט יונתן את המעיל אשר עליו, ויתנהו לו דוד ומדיו על חרבו ועל קשתו ועל חגורו. Yonatan is taking off his royal clothing. He's the son of the king. He's taking off the coat. He's taking off his uniforms. He's taking off his sword, his bow and arrow, his bow, and his belt. And he's handing it off to David. And David takes it. If you recall, last time we learned when David was working to convince Saul to let him fight Goliath, right? So Saul told him, "Listen, you coming?" He was wearing nothing; he had a shirt on his shoulders, nothing, no armor, no weapons. He told him, "Here, take my shield, my armor, my clothes, and take the whole getup." And David tried it, and it fit, even though Shaul was very tall and David was a shorty. It certainly fit. And David right away realized that it's not a good idea to take the king's clothes like that. And it's trouble. There is a catch here. So he, as quickly as he can, took it off and said, "I can't really fight with it. I'm not used to it. With an armor, you need to." It's true, he wasn't used to it, but he did it for other reasons. But here, when the son Yonatan is giving him the clothing, he doesn't say he's not accepting it. He accepted it. Now imagine David walking around with the clothing of Yonatan. I can imagine that Yonatan had the special clothing that belongs to the son of the king, right? He wasn't wearing just a regular T-shirt, He was, and when he walked around, I imagine that Shaul noticed and saw it. He doesn't say it here, but so he accepted the clothing, he accepted the sword. A long time ago, after Shaul, when Shaul was first inaugurated, and the Jews were under an embargo, a weapon embargo and an iron embargo, we did not have any swords. There were 2 swords in the entire land that belonged to Jews. One of them to Shaul, another one to Yonatan. This is not far, after that. And suddenly the sword that was hanging on Yonatan's, belt, end up on David's belt. That's... Okay. ויצא דוד בכל אשר ישלחנו שאול. So Shaul started using him. Started using him extensively. It's a talented guy, was able to save, he stepped up to the plate. So he started using him, and he would send him everywhere. And everywhere that he went, he was skilled. He did everything in a good neufen, as I say, in a smart way, a very, the right way. He was successful. And so he made David right away in charge of the army. Now under Avner, because Avner was in charge, but he put him right under Avner in charge of the actual warriors. And so everybody liked it because he's the star of the show. So the fact that the people of Israel liked it, it's not not a surprise, because he saved them. He made them all very comfortable, and the Philistines ran away. We were able to collect a lot of booty from them, and But what is surprising is that the people that were in the hierarchy, in the palace, that were in the people who were close, the close circle, the people of the West Wing, they liked him too. Imagine putting someone who is not from the department, in charge of you. Most of the people would not like it. And here you had a shepherd who was, but because he was a very delicious guy, very likable guy, very, he didn't have some overpowering stature or anything. He was talking to people at the level, the eye level. And he was very humble, and he was very successful and smart. Like he can't do wrong. He can't fight with anybody. Everybody liked him. All right, the next two sentences is where this is the ascent. This is how he ascended to the top. Everybody liked him, and then something happened, and it's a dance that occurred, and the problem, the big problem started. Vayehi bevoam beshuv David me'akot et haplishti. So as as we recall, the entire nation, the entire army of Israel was assembled in Emek Ha'elah, right? They were assembled south of Bet Shemesh, ready to fight for 40 days. All right? So after the war, and then there was a day of war, and then they started, going back home. So as they were all going back home, so all of the women who were waiting for their hubbies to come back, and scared, not knowing what will happen, if they're going to come back, if they're going to have, missing limbs, God forbid. I mean, it was a big scare, Those of you who remember before the 6-day war, it was a big scare. Nobody knew what's the next day is going to bring. So, v'tetzena kol hanashim mikol arei Yisrael, so they all came to sing and to dance. V'amecholot, for who? Likrat Shaul. They went to honor the king, right? That's the obvious thing. Even though the king was not the one who were leading, he is the one that is in charge of the nation. So everybody came, all of the women came to sing and to dance and to in his honor. Now this
Lashon here, it says, Hanashim Hamisachakot.
That's the next pasuk in a second. The next pasuk. So we said here, we're writing Lashir, but it's written Lashur. So two ways of singing, Lashir and Lashur, it means the same, but we see right away that we had here two voices, two sounds. Whatever they said, whatever they meant, whatever they said versus whatever somebody else heard. So there, right away, you see that there is music, but the music can be understood a couple of ways, which we'll see in the next sentence. So they came and they brought tupim b'simcha b'shalishim. They used drums and they used singing and happiness. And they used shalishim. Shalishim was an ancient string instrument that had 3 strings. A violin or so. I mean, I think in the Far East they had these type of like an oud, yeah, like an oud maybe, yeah. But three strings. And then this is the next pasuk. The next pasuk says, "Vata'anena anashim hamesachakot." So part of the women who were joking around, or mesachakot means playing, being happy, joking around. It means several things. What? It's what?
A lot of times when it says tisachek be, like in Parshat Vayesh.
So if you look at, in order for us to understand what the meaning of a word always is in this context, the best place to look is Targum Yonatan. Targum Yonatan says, "Ve'ativa neshad mishabchan," and they came and they said, the women, all right, the women who are meshabchan, that are honoring, that are praising the king. Meshabchan is praise, is a word of praise. Shabbat, Hallelu l'Shabbat, right? So, what did they say? They said they sang a song, and this song is very famous. Vatomarna, hika Shaul be'alafa, v'David b'rvivotav. That Shaul hit thousands, and David tens of thousands, right? Yeah, hika Shaul be'alafa, right? So they were singing the praise of David in front of Shaul. That doesn't make any sense. How can you? I mean, this is a treason. You know, in those days, those people will be hung right away. It doesn't make sense to understand it like this. Simply that they came and they Shaul and David are walking at the head of the parade and they're praising David in front of Shaul. Doesn't make any sense.
So they're just finding their way to.
But so this is so. You can explain the same words at least two different ways. They sang it one way, Shaul heard it another way, and that's how the Malbim explains it. The Malbim explains as follows: when you have a war, and you have a small army, and you defeat the enemy with a small army, it's much more special than if you had a bigger army. If United States went and defeated the army of Liechtenstein, that's okay, big deal. But if it's the other way around, God forbid, so that's a special thing. They have 2 soldiers in Liechtenstein. Yeah, one of them is a band leader. So what the Malbim is saying, that they were singing that Shaul is so great that he is able to defeat with a small army, with thousands, and David with tens of thousands. What do they mean? They didn't lie. What they meant is they were comparing the previous war with the Philistines. In the previous war with the Philistines, Shaul started with few thousand soldiers. He actually started with 2,000 with him and 1,000 with Yonatan, with 3,000 people, soldiers. A whole bunch of them defected, went away home because they were afraid, and he left with 600. And then the war actually started and led by 2 people, Yonatan and his helper. So Shaul, but he started with an army of 3,000 people, and he won the war. So the women were saying here, Shaul amassed a whole big army of tens of thousands of people, and David led it. So he needed tens of thousands of people to defeat the same people that Shaul used thousands. Shaul, of course, heard it like we all hear it, that Shaul is able to kill thousands in the first war. But here now we have David, who is much more successful and was able to smite tens of thousands. And when he heard that, he didn't. And they were joking around. They were praising him, but pun not intended, but intended. A little not mocking, but they can't be mocking. But in their mind, they were saying, it's a Freudian sleep, maybe. They were thinking one thing, saying another thing. Vayichar leShaul me'od, so Shaul got very, very angry. Vayira be'enav, and he has information that nobody else has, right? And that information is that Shmuel told him that he's at the end of he's not going to continue. His people, his family, he's not going to continue to be the king. So he became very, very, very upset. Vayira be'enav hadavar hazeh, vayomer, and he said, "What does it mean? What do you mean? They gave to David tens of thousands, and they gave me thousands. Ve'od lo acha melucha." So they're giving him the praise of being able to smite 10 times more than I can, and let him now just give him the kingdom. And in those days, changing kings was not a democratic way. There was no ceremony on the lawn, in Washington, and one is going and the other one is coming. Kings change either by the natural death or not natural, or custom-made death, And when they were killed by the successor, it's not only them that they were killed; it's the whole family. That's a la the Tsar of Russia. They just decapitate the whole family, so nobody can come later on and say, the throne is mine. So he right away starts thinking, Houston, we have a problem here. So what should I do? From that point on, he was the arch enemy of David. Wow. Didn't take long. Took a day maybe, He became very, very upset and oyen. Oyen is someone who's how do you translate oyen? How do you translate over there? Oyen? Oyen means it's coming from the word what? Tortured. He didn't torture him. I don't know. What? No. That's wrong. He was. First of all, it's coming from the word ein. It's first of all, it's coming from the word ein hara.
Suspicion is what they say.
Yeah, no. Oyen is a real. This is similar to what some people feel towards some presidents in some countries that we know. Really, really hate them.
He eyed him with suspicion.
So he eyed him. So it comes from he eyed him with suspicion. He was also Oyen is also from the word okev. He was looking after him. He was watching after him. He made sure to put the KGB after him to know all of his moves, because he didn't want him to. He didn't want to lose sight of him, because you never know what someone who is destined to be the king is going to do. But it's written avon. He was also looking for all of his bad. He was looking to. I don't want to say impeachment. He was looking to find him avon and to trip him on all kinds of issues and problems. It didn't take long. The very next day, vatitzlach ruach Elokim ra'a el Shaul. So at that point, God started. We will see that every pasuk is another step towards the kicking Shaul out, bringing David in, and making sure that Shaul is not comfortable. So, because God was the one that was controlling the mood of Shaul, right? That he used to have Shaul being very successful all the time, and now he made him depressed, and he made him upset, and he made melancholy. Suddenly, that time came. He became very upset. He became acting weird. Vaitnabe. So Navi is a prophet, right? What is the in some psukim, Navi is being called a meshuga, crazy man, because they're acting crazy. They're not acting like normal people. The message that they give, the ways that they're talking, all of their being is not normal.
He was talking to himself probably.
So, and he was talking things that he was talking nonsense. He was walking around the palace, talking like, stupid. ויתנבא בתוך הבית. He was walking around like that. ודוד מנגן בידו. כיום ביום. And David, like every other day, was playing. He was playing his violin because this is the time that Shaul needed him, right? When he felt the depression, when he felt melancholy, when he felt bad, he needed the music therapy, right? So David was playing. והחנית ביד שאול. But Shaul was walking around with a spear. Now Shaul doesn't want to just kill David like that. David is a star. David, he doesn't want to kill another human being, another Jew. The star of he saved the whole nation here. But he wants to get rid of it. So he said, he concocted something. He says, let me just have a practice, a spear throwing practice, like a target practice. Let's do it in the middle of the house, target practice, and I'm just going to throw it into the walls. And the walls in those days were made from wood, so a spear would get
Wood, not stone?
some stone, some wood, whatever. But he would. I imagine that this is what that's my. You're right. It may not be wood, but he was aiming to the wall. And wanted accidentally that the spear will just will hit on the way David and will kill him. And now David, whatever he did 100% all the way. He wasn't. He did 100%. So when he played like a maestro. He was all engrossed and fully in the music. Made sure it's coming out right, made sure it's 100%. I mean, he was not playing games. He was playing. And so he didn't know what's going around him. If you went to a concert, you see sometimes that the main musician is in a trance. After they finish playing, they're just waking up they're not here. So that's what happened to him. And as he was playing, as you know, when you play, you move, you move to the right, you move to the left. And so Saul is aiming to his head and throwing the spear, and then there is a piece of the music that, he moves to the right, and the spear misses. Wow. And it happened twice. Does it again, misses again. So then Shaul realized that, he's not going to be able to do that. I mean, how many times can you do that in the middle of the palace? So, ויתר שאול את החנית ויאמר הכה בדוד ובקיר. I'm going to hit David and I'm going to hit I'm going to hit David and I'm going to hit the wall. And David moved twice and he didn't hit him. So then, וירא שאול מפני דוד כי היה השם עמו ומעם שאול שר. And so he right away knew that Shaul knew that God is with David, because when something like that happened, you move by the way and you avoid an assassination once, and then 2 minutes later twice. He saw that God is not with him. God is with David. We need to do something. So what does he do? ויסירהו שאול מעמו. He can't stand having him in the palace anymore. I knew that you're eventually going to take this, but I don't want to bring you in here. So he made him a general. He made him a general to demote him, to get him out of the palace. And by the way, send him to war. Maybe, maybe somebody will have better aim. We will see next time what happened next.